Hello aspirants, here I am Pallavi and today we will discuss the chapter 3 of Indian Penal Code, which deals with punishment. Before discussing the whole chapter at once, we could divide it in a part. In first part, there is a provision of punishment under this code, and the procedure regarding the punishment is from section 53 to 70 and 73 and 74. And in second part, we could discuss the rule for assessment of punishment, which will be from 71 to 72, and in third part we could discuss the enhanced punishment for a subsequent offense, which is section 75. And before discussing the whole provision regarding the punishment, we could discuss the section 53. Section 53 has 5 type of punishment right now, but prior to the but in the original act there was 6 type of punishment. First kind of punishment is death sentence, second is imprisonment for life, third is imprisonment, which could be rigorous or a simple, fourth is forfeiture of property, and fifth is fine. For the death sentence, there is a provision in section 53 and section 54, and for imprisonment of life there is a provision under section 55 and 57, 53, 55 and 57, and for imprisonment, which could be a rigorous or a simple, there is a provision under section 53 along with section 60 and 73 and 74, which is solitary confinement. And for forfeiture of property, only 53 talks about forfeiture of property, and there is no any other provision in chapter 3, chapter 3rd, and last punishment is fine, which has the provision from section 63 to 70. So today we will discuss about the fine only. So let's get started. And if you go through the previous year papers of any state, you will see that there is a question which asks that in which section the punishment of fine is only provided. So it is a very important fact that in which section the fine are given and what is the rule regarding the fine. So let's get started. Actually, the provision related to fine is given from section 63 to 70. So today we will discuss the section 60, discuss from section 63 to 70 along with the offences in which fine is only awarded. So section 63 talks about the amount of fine, where no sum is expressed to which a fine may extend. The amount of fine to which the offender is liable is unlimited but shall not be excessive. What does here mean? You could award fine unlimited, but it could not be excessive. If we go through the offences defined under Indian Penal Code, we will see the punishment, and often the punishment provided to the accused is whether it is imprisonment or fine or both. There is no limit of fine. So if you could relate it from there, you could get the point of section 63, that where no sum is expressed, the fine could be unlimited but shall not be excessive. Now we will move on to the section 64. Section 64 says the sentence of imprisonment for non-payment of fine. If you are awarded with a fine and you have made default in payment of fine, and because of your default in payment of fine, the offender is sentenced to a whether it is with or without imprisonment, it doesn't matter, but if he defaults to pay fine, he could be awarded with the imprisonment, which is additional imprisonment. If we go through the lines of Bare Act, we will see what the Bare Act says, that in every cases of an offence punishable with imprisonment as well as fine, in which the offender is sentenced to a fine, whether with or without imprisonment, and in every case of an offence punishable with imprisonment or fine or with fine only, in which the offender is sentenced to a fine, it shall be competent to the court which sentence such offender to direct by sentence that, and in default of payment of fine the offender shall suffer imprisonment for a certain term, and in which imprisonment shall be in excess of any other imprisonment to which he may have been sentenced, or to which he may be liable under the commutation of sentence. So the section 64 says that the sentence in default of payment of fine will be the additional sentence to if the punishment is awarded, punishment of fine is awarded with imprisonment, it could be additional. So this is the section 64. Now we will move on to the section 65. Section 65 says that limit to imprisonment for non-payment of fine. If when imprisonment and fine awardable, section 65 says that what is the limit of imprisonment for non-payment of fine. So the section 65 says that it shall not be exceed 1/4 of term of imprisonment, which is the maximum fix for the offence, if the offence be punishable with imprisonment as well as fine. So the section 65 says that it could not exceed 1/4 of the term of imprisonment, which is the maximum fix for the offence. Now we will move on to the section 66. Section 66 talks about the description of imprisonment for non-payment of fine. The imprisonment which the court impose in default of fine may be of any description which the offender might have been sentenced for the offence. What kind of description of imprisonment here for non-payment of fine? Whether it could be a simple or a rigorous. It could be of any kind. Now we will move on to the section 67. What section 67 says? Section 67 says that imprisonment of non-payment of fine when often punishable with fine only. If the offence be punishable with fine only, the imprisonment for which the court imposes in default of the fine shall be simple. The imprisonment for non-payment of fine when offence punishable with fine only shall be simple, and the term which the court directs the offender to be imposed in default of payment of fine shall not exceed the scale, which scale is provided in section 67. What kind of scale is provided here? For any term not exceeding 2 months, when the amount of fine shall not exceed 50 rupees. You could get here that for 25 rupees there is imprisonment for 1 month, 50 rupees for 2 months, and you could get you could multiply 1, 2 or 3 in 25, you could get the month of imprisonment. So for the 25 rupees 1 month imprisonment, for 50 rupees 2 months of imprisonment, and for 100 rupees 4 months of imprisonment. And if amount exceed 100 rupees and or any kind of amount provided, the term will be 6 months and it doesn't exceed 6 months. So it's all about 67. 67 says imprisonment for non-payment of fine. Here is a provision. In case of 50 rupees, there is imprisonment of 2 months. In case of 100 rupees, there is imprisonment of 4 months. And in any other cases, if amount exceed 100 rupees and any kind of amount is awarded more than 100, the punishment could not exceed 6 months. Now we will move on to the section 68. 68 talks about the termination of payment of fine. This section is also very important section. It is always asked in many judicial examinations. So the section 68 says that imprisonment to terminate on payment of fine. the imprisonment which is imposed in default of payment of fine shall terminate whenever the fine is either paid or levied by process of law. If you are awarded with a with a sentence in default of payment, if you are awarded with the imprisonment in default of payment of fine, and whenever you have paid fine or levied by the process of law, your imprisonment could be terminate on the payment of payment of fine. So okay, now section 69 is also about termination of imprisonment on payment of proportional part of fine. So section 69 says that if before the expiration of the term of imprisonment fixed in default of payment such a proportion of fine be paid or levied that the term of imprisonment suffered in default of payment is not less than proportional to the part of fine still unpaid, the imprisonment shall terminate. So what the section 69 says here, if you are awarded with the imprisonment on default of payment of fine, and before the expiration of the term of imprisonment you have paid proportional part of fine, and that proportional part will be the equal to the term of imprisonment which is you have to undergo. So that if you have paid the proportional part of the fine, the imprisonment shall be terminated. So this is the section 69. So let's understand with the section with the example that if you are awarded with 2 months of imprisonment in default of payment of fine of 50 rupees, and you have undergone for 1 month of imprisonment, and after 1 month you have paid the 25 rupees, and 25 rupees is equal to the month of equal to the imprisonment of 1 month, so that your imprisonment of 1 month shall be terminate when you have paid that proportional part of fine. Now we will move on to the section 70. Section 70 talks about the fine leviable within 6 years or during imprisonment, death not to discharge property from the liability. So section 70 says that the fine or any part thereof which remains unpaid may be levied at any time within 6 years after the passing of sentence, and if the offender is liable to the imprisonment for a longer period than 6 years, suppose he is awarded with a 7 year of imprisonment, so the time before expiration of that imprisonment the fine could be levied, and the death of that offender doesn't discharge from the liability of any property which he would after his death be legally liable for his debt. If he had property, and from that property the fine or any part thereof which remains unpaid could be levied at any time within 6 years of after passing the imprisonment or from the death of that person. Death could not discharge his property from liability. So this is all about section 70. Now we will discuss in which offences fine is only awarded. So the fine is awarded as a sentence in these offences which we will discuss after it. Section 137, a person in charge of merchant vessel and negligently allowing a deserter from the army, navy or air force to obtain concealment in such vessel is liable to a fine not exceeding 500 rupees. And in section 154, the owner or occupier of the land on which a right or unlawful assembly is held, and any person having or claiming any interest in such land and not using all lawful means to prevent such right or unlawful assembly is punishable with fine not exceeding 1000 rupees. And under section 155, the person for whose benefit right has been committed, not having duly endeavored to prevent it, has been awarded with a fine. and there is no kind of amount of fine is provided, so you could get the point from section 63 that amount must be limited but not excessive. And after that, section 156 has the provision of fine liability of agent of owner or occupier for whose benefit right is committed. After that, section 171H, illegal payment in connection with an election. 171I, failure to keep election accounts. 278, voluntarily vitiating the atmosphere so as to render it noxious to the public health is punishable with fine of rupees 500. Section 283, obstructing a public way or a line of navigation is punishable with fine not exceeding 200 rupees. And after that, section 290, committing of public nuisance not otherwise punishable is punishable with fine not exceeding 200 rupees. And last, 294A, whoever publish any proposal to pay any sum or to deliver any good or to do forbear doing anything for the benefit of any person or any event or contingency relative or applicable to the drawing of a ticket, lot, number or a figure in any such lottery not being a state lottery or lottery authorized by the state government is punished with fine not exceeding 1000 rupees. So these are the offences in which punishment of fine is only awarded. So this is enough for today. In next video we will discuss another kind of punishment. So thank you.